All right, man, doing another 500px. I use the stories inside of 500px because I think it's a great way to show a collection of images. I often don't go and shoot just one image. It's usually a whole collection to kind of work.
They make more sense as a story. I mean, one image by itself perhaps doesn't say something, but as a...
Yeah, it's kind of like they have built in almost like a blog post. You can write a little bit at the beginning, and then you can write about each. And I like the fact that they already give you the metadata, so you can see, the aperture, the shutter speed, ISO is all there.
So and also it's a good way to share why you've taken these pictures, rather than it's just one picture that's and it's a very unique thing. Flickr hasn't done it. Others haven't done it this way.
Right. There's a couple things I don't like about it. Like, you can't go in and individually, comment on the photos, and I wish that 500px would do that. Maybe they will. I think they said something in a tweet a while back that they may make some changes, but I've got quite a few stories in here just because I feel like they work, like you said, they work better as a whole as opposed to just posting individual photos.
Yeah.
Recently, you and I were traveling along the coast of Colombia, on the Caribbean side.
Right. And we actually went, it was your idea to go back to this one place that we passed.
We started in Cartagena.
Yeah.
Should we start there with some of the photos, or should we start at the fishing village?
Sure.
Let's start where we started. We met. You got in at midnight, and we stayed in this little teeny part of Cartagena called Getsemani.
Getsemani, yeah. And
it's a little funky, but cool.
I actually liked it a lot. It's I found it really surprising how inviting people were to make us, let us come into their houses. And
I mean, here we are. This photo. It's a house where girls can go and get their hair done.
Yeah,
and we went in, and
actually it was fake hair.
Fake hair, and then there was like the grandmother, and then there's the shot. I like this image because it looks like she's sort of suspending and floating because you can't see her legs.
Yeah, she's levitating. But I mean, I was when I saw this picture, I was telling you how much I liked it. It's especially where her hand is and the shadows in her eyes. Just it says a lot. It speaks.
And the colors work together really well.
They do as well. Yeah.
Flowery dress in the blue and white and the black. We were just walking through the old city walls when we ran across her. Her name is Angeli.
Angeli, yeah, Angeli.
And I just thought it was interesting that her red hair, her red dress, and the ceviche stand all matched.
And I was surprised how well dressed she was for a ceviche person.
But yeah, I think it was because it was the New Year's. Wasn't it New Year's Eve?
It was actually, yeah. But I found it so surprising that, here's this one person, and, we spent a bit of time taking pictures of her.
Well, what's funny is I saw her, and I asked her for a quick photo, and she just looked at her. This was me taking a picture of her, and she's obviously knows I'm taking the photo. And then I asked her, can you do some more photos? Or maybe we saw her walking down the street with the stand.
Yeah, we caught her again. And then we were like, do you mind if we stop and take some pictures?
And
she loved it.
Completely posed for us.
Yeah.
Like she knew what she was doing.
Yeah. Actually, it turns out she was a model, no?
She said she was a model, but I looked at her images. I don't know.
Okay.
Everybody's a model in Colombia.
Yeah.
This was like in Getsemani, and walking down the street, and I see like this guy watching TV outside of his house.
And I quite like this post process that you've done here.
Did you notice that I added here on the right side of it? You see that I added, yellow.
I was just gonna mention that it's like it looks like the image was split on the right hand side. Why was that?
I just was playing. It needed a little color. It was a white wall, and I thought the yellow just was interesting, and I've just been playing. And, it's not a spectacular image, but it does capture sort of an interesting moment in the way his legs are crossed, and you can see his leg, and he's sticking his head out.
And I found that in Colombia, people like to stare. They really do like to stare. And this is one other moment of this guy saying, "What is this guy doing?" He's just, you know,
Right.
he just peeked right behind. He didn't from right behind his TV and looking at what you're doing.
And you know, and I added that. What do you call it? The gradient of color, and it's just something that I'm messing around with. You know, I don't. There's really no right or wrong. You either love it or you don't.
Yeah.
These are just two drunks, los borrachos,
But
but they're happy.
do you remember the guy? We actually saw his house. The guy on the left.
Yeah, his name was is it Carnito,
I forget his name.
and he goes by Chuck.
Yeah, Chuck. And I love
Charlie. No, Charlie.
That's right.
Charlie.
And I really like his sunglasses because they're today in
Right.
style. And
But I don't think it was intentional.
he probably owned them since they were out, like, 30, 40 years ago.
But they were sort of sitting there, and I asked for a photo, and then they both just kind of went into these characters, and I thought they were going to say no, but no. Here's another gradient thing I did at the top. I'm not so sure about, just trying to add some interest. And you can, which I think is funny. I don't know if you noticed this, but do you see the kid below?
Yeah, the guy who's
He's ducking, trying to get out. Being polite and trying to get out of the photo
picture,
as he walks by. As I'm taking a picture of this man in the window who actually sells cell phone minutes, so you can go and actually use his phone to make calls. He's like a payphone. In the alleyway, the guy in the morning, preparing his plantains to sell. This is when I wish I maybe had this shutter speed a little slower, so you could see the movement in the hands.
Yeah.
The banana.
This guy.
You mentioned, you actually said something about my post processing on this. It's a lot more.
Yeah, that's true. I did want to mention that your images in this series have they're far more colorful than your usual stuff.
I pushed the vibrance and the saturation, and I added a hint of how I do the HDR effect, especially like in this one. You can kind of see it. I'm got the recovery slid all the way over. I'm adding fill. I'm adding contrast to get both lots of highlights and lots of contrast. They're definitely overly saturated. There's lots of oranges and lots of yellows in there.
And
red.
You said this is because of you're in the Caribbean and it kind of goes with this with that kind of feel and vibe.
Yeah, and I was trying to experiment with a different color palette. It's something that I do when I'm shooting. If you'll notice, from story to story, there's always kind of a different theme and color. I don't, I used to sort of always stay the same. Now I do kind of play on that. Good color, I think, is important.
It's very important. This guy, wow.
Yeah, I kind of underexposed him a little bit on purpose. Just what a character, man. Him and that radio.
I love that radio. I took a few pictures of him, and I love the pose. He was just going peace to
Yeah, he's just very patient. Just kind of like the old, the old architecture. I wish I'd taken more architectural shots and really, as opposed to just walking and taking it. But it's interesting that some of the buildings are sort of falling apart, and other ones are really perfect. It's a mix.
Sometimes they're right next to each other.
Yeah, and then the way I'm depicting this, you look at it and you go, this is a broken down third world country, but it's not all like that. It's just that I find the crustiness interesting to me. Guy drinking aguardiente in the middle of the street.
Yeah. This image I really liked.
What is it about the image that you like?
It looks like, you are laying down there.
Yeah, there's this mattress. It's actually on the old fort walls. I climbed up on top of it, and then you can see Getsemani
on the other side. And it was very nice, like, the way you kind of...
the shadow.
And then it's like you're lying on the bed, and that's your view on the top of us,
Yeah.
On the top floor is quite nice.
Yeah, there's no real particular reason for this.
No.
Anyway.
Yeah.
This was cool. Another one when we went into their home.
Oh, yeah. And you remember the two pictures. I wish you had those two pictures right next to each other.
It's pretty common, I noticed, just by going into so many people's homes, that there'll be a picture of the man and the wife on the wall, usually apart. And we asked them to actually, there's the husband. That's obviously when they were younger, they had these photos, and we asked them to pose next to their images, I don't know, what, 20 or 30 years later. And I just thought, and this guy had a bakery.
Yeah, and a very good one.
In the back of his house, there was a bakery.
It's so good that we're actually looking at our GPS data to go find him again.
We fly back to Cartagena. Where the first thing we're going to do is go to the Panaderia, or how do you...
Yeah, Panaderia, and just find this guy and get this bread again. It's so good.
You know, there was just some funky art. This is not the best image. It's obviously a tourist on a bike. She's got the little vest on.
Oh, God, we had to wear that as well.
Yeah, and I tried to do another experimentation with the color. It didn't work, but whatever.
Yeah, there's that gradient again.
There's the gradient that one, whatever, it doesn't really work. This I just wanted to show kind of a little bit of the chaos with wires and what some of the side streets look like.
And you know, even though these wires are laying everywhere and it was windy one day, there was no power outage.
No, I didn't. Oh, you know, it's just a little bit controversial, and I'm like that sometimes. That's obviously drugs being sold on the street. I think that a lot of tourists, unfortunately, are buying it, and I don't know. I just thought it was interesting that these kids are laughing over here in the background as, oh, look at this, the tourist wants to take a picture of it. And it's not like you see that,
no,
especially in the old city walls, but outside of it.
It's not everywhere.
It's there, and it's not like there's violence. It's primarily tourists buying it.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just thought I would show that.
You actually was very, a lot of your pictures this time were about tiles, and you were very excited about the tiles of the
you know, the tiles come from the area, from Barranquilla and from Cartagena. They're made there. They're actually made there for the rest of the country. And they're really old. I thought this one was interesting because it looks like a pixelated tile.
Yeah.
But I think that's 100 years old, those tiles. So I took a whole series of them. I don't know why. I just thought it was sort of interesting, the tiles.
Oh, there he is again.
There he is, this Carnito.
Yeah.
It's Charlie. And look at it, you're right. And he was totally napping in his hammock. I mean, that's what he sleeps in. That's his bed.
Yeah. And his house, remember, was nasty.
We poked our head in a little bit, and it had kind of a funky smell. So we're like, that's all right, Carnito. Stay right there. We'll shoot you here. And I did a lot of shooting in, through the windows, and you can actually see the bar. See this right here?
But I like that.
And I just kind of left it. You don't know what it is, but I know what it is.
I like that personally.
If you zoomed in, you could probably see me, the reflection of me.
And in his window,
I thought it was interesting. There was big chunks of ice, like that's how they're cooling things down. Like, I just thought it was interesting. Like they don't have an ice machine, but they make these giant blocks of ice.
And they go and sell them through the day,
or use them in the coolers for selling beer to tourists or whatever. Look at this door.
This is very interesting. You get to meet who you're going to meet before you get into the house.
Yes. And that's the guy, I don't know who decided to do that, but that's the entrance to this man's home and his family. And I so want to do that to my door. This is one where, do you know what this is? You know that's causing that effect, softness around?
Is this the ND filter?
No.
Oh, then I don't.
I was in the cold hotel room, and it's so humid out there. I went out and I went, oh man, my lens is completely fogged over. Like, how long is this going to take? Because that glass is really thick on that 24 to 70. So rather than wipe it down and get it all nasty, I just decided to use it. As it was drying, I just decided to use it. But I had to act pretty quickly because it dried pretty quickly, so I just took a couple shots with that.
That's pretty cool.
This is another split image. This is actually inside and outside.
This one was a cool use of split image, I think.
These are two images sandwiched together. One is obviously the outsole with the handmade wreath, and then I went inside, and you can see it from the opposite direction. The lady, that's her home, and we went inside.
One of the things I really liked about their decorations is they're not done in a very expensive. We saw that one street with all these plastic bags.
They're just sort of like recycling whatever they can find. I mean, look at that wreath. It's just paper made into little cones. Nice. It looks cool.
It looks nice.
Yeah, you're right. We saw the things hanging over the alleyways. I mean, they made it quite festival. I mean, it's a big deal is the New Year.
New Year's is a big deal. Yeah.
Really big, very important part for the country. There's another image of like the guy that was, it's a picture of him in his home, and I just thought, look at the natural light and then the nasty green fluorescent light in the room with the fan and the TV. It's just interesting picture for me. And then on the opposite corner was sort of the tiles, and all the rooms are open like that.
And what I liked is how clean everything was.
Yeah, they don't have a lot, but they are meticulous about making sure that floor is mopped 5 times a day.
Yeah, I mean, we walked in and everyone was like,
everybody's cleaning.
Yeah,
all these little ladies are sweeping and mopping and doing something. I don't know, just colorful walls with lots of plants growing. There's another one of those foggy
ones.
Look at that door, just amazing. What was your impression of the old city?
I really like the old city because of how colorful it is, and it had a vibe that I have never seen.
And the architecture
is very nice.
I mean, the Spaniards had some money.
And also, you can see some of these doors, all these like steel objects on them, they're all removed now.
Yeah, they've been rocked for.
It's such a shame,
Yeah, but the old city's been preserved pretty well.
Yeah, it is. It is. And also in Getsemani, there's some of the doors that are now modern, and you were telling me how some people are now selling their doors.
Yeah,
that's unfortunate.
It was just artwork with the eye, and then the little girl's head.
Yeah.
Just, I see things like that and I take a snap of it. City wall with whatever that is.
That's the clock tower.
Yeah. And everything was lit really nicely. These are lights, this is right before sunset. And, there's lots of dogs running around and these little carts with all kinds of things.
Dogs are everywhere.
So, let's do the next one, which is going into the oh wait, we're not done. It's all right.
Yeah.
More tiles.
This.
Yeah, I was kind of funny, a dog's butt, and I left a little bit of the red in there for a little bit of color. I always look for color. There's a bird just sort of attached to somebody's door, a parrot. And look at this. This is sort of like the old and the new come together, and why is that building falling apart with some graffiti kind of tropical artwork next to this beautiful house?
And we saw that time and time
again, which does make it a unique.
It adds to it, I think.
And so it's cool. Costeña.
Yeah.
This is a local girl walking down the street, and we asked her to take a photo, and she said, "Yeah."
And there's a special thing about this image, and it's not lit.
Well, it is lit. It's just lit with the sun.
Yeah. And we just we just use reflectors and
yeah, you can see what would someone would put a hair light or a rim lighting to the right of her, and then we just bounce the reflector back for fill on the other side of her.
And it's a great use of natural light here.
Right, and nice, beautiful girl.
Well, very, very beautiful.
And that's it. So that's what I have to say about that. How do I stop it? You did something with it. This one? Where is it?